Hamish. How are you doing?
Good, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I always get that music. I'm still not used to it. I'm doing this every day. Still not used to the music.
For viewers at home, there's music that plays before this that I don't think they can. Can they hear it?
No, I think everyone can hear it. Yeah.
Oh, really? Right. Oh, it's
Yeah.
really weird. But
It
yeah,
is
there
weird.
you go. Yeah, so we are on the last day before summer recess at Holyrood.
Yeah,
Quite
they
busy.
go off till the 2nd of September, don't they? So quite a while.
Yeah, they get a nice long holiday for all the hard work they do. They do work hard.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, so our front page today is, have we got that on? Yeah, there we go. There is no case for the union, says Ian Blackford at PMQs. It wasn't really PMQs yesterday, it was deputy PMQs because Boris Johnson is still on his jet setting tour of everywhere. He was in Rwanda, he was in, where else was he? Berlin, maybe?
Berlin and now Madrid. But he's coming back today.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a great holiday if you were if you weren't just being completely plagued by terrible news from home the whole
Yeah,
time.
but I don't know that bothers Boris Johnson, does it?
No, I also don't know if he keeps up with it while he's away. Maybe he's
No, I
just
doubt
like
it.
more of a kind of like airport paperback by the pool kind of guy.
Yeah, I wonder what his paperback of choice would be.
I could see him going for like I could go to see him going for maybe like a sort of historical thriller sort of thing, you know, like Winston Churchill, but like it's an alternative history where he's a Soviet spy or something. You know, he would love that, I think. Yeah, so Ian Blackford said that there's no case for the union after a sort of really weird comment from. I mean, Dominic Raab is. You can kind of see why they don't bring him out that often. He's this supremely strange character. Made that horrible comment about Angela Rayner going to the opera, sneering and unpleasant.
And then winked at her as well.
Yeah, he winked at her. He winked twice, I think. I'm sure that I saw him wink at another point as well. Yeah, didn't like that. For anyone that didn't catch PMQs yesterday, he made a comment about Angela Rayner being a champagne socialist because she went to the opera. So yeah.
Yeah, and she's since come out and said in response to his comments that she did go to the opera it was a £62 ticket, and she'd been invited by a working class guy from her area that had been playing violin in the opera, and he'd been playing violin since he was a kid. So yeah, don't think Dominic Raab has much of a leg to stand on.
No. And then he made this strange comment to Ian Blackford saying that it was, what was it? Good to see him back in his place.
Yeah.
Which would be like, I mean, I think if you were a Tory, it would be quite an easy jibe to make. I don't think anyone has actually, not as far as I've seen anyone's went for them in the Commons about the Patrick Grady stuff, you know, but with them sort of throwing rocks and glass houses. I think they've kind of kept quite quiet on it. But obviously, Ian Blackford has been, you know, hold on to stand down over it by like kind of Scottish Tories and stuff. Who were saying that his support for Patrick Grady meant that he should resign. But it's the first kind of comment, and it's kind of would have been an easy jibe to make if he hadn't just made it so weird and uncomfortable.
Yeah, we've got a video of Ian Blackford, which we'll show you now. This was him sort of asking Dominic Raab if he can even make a case for the union. So here it is.
Mr. Speaker, Scotland's First Minister has set the date and started the campaign. Our nation will have its independence referendum on the 19th of October 2023. The reality is Scotland has already paid the price for not being independent. Westminster governments we did not vote for, imposing policies we don't support, breaking international law, dragging Scotland through a damaging Brexit we didn't vote for, and delivering deep austerity cuts. Contrast that with our European neighbours, who have greater income equality, lower poverty rates and higher productivity. Mr. Speaker, why not Scotland? In the weeks and months ahead, we will make the positive case for independence. Will the opposition, if they can, make the case for continued Westminster rule?
Dominic Raab didn't in response to that. So
No.
That's that question answered. The other big news today is this new poll from the Scotsman about yes and no, neck and neck, basically, if you exclude the don't knows. And obviously it is kind of the don't knows that are the most important, because they're the kind of, I think, what is it they had yes, so if you have,
I think they had 46
opposed,
44 46 opposed, 44 for, 10% undecided, and if you take out the undecided, it was 51 against independence and 49 for independence. I
think what's quite encouraging, or what would be quite encouraging for the Scottish Government there and the sort of yes movement, is that so the opposed is down 1%, and undecided is up 3 percentage points, which is quite interesting, because, you know, more people becoming undecideds means that there's more in the mix, right? There's more to play for, and it's kind of those people that they have to win round to yes. And I think that now, you know, this timetable that they've set up, but October 2023 means that, you know, it really does seem like that sort of time frame where we're still likely to have Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, you know, barring, I mean, his death, I suppose. Like, I can't see any other way of him leaving office. Like, there's no scandal that would oust him. It would need to be him being physically, like, pulled from the role in some way.
Yeah.
So Boris probably still Prime Minister in October next year. Keir Starmer probably still leader of the Labour Party. And I think I think what the Scottish Government are really banking on there, barring any major upsets, is that is the exact sort of situation that is going to win people round to yes vote. And probably also, I mean, the amount of forecasts of recession and stuff like that we've had over the last month.
And the SNP are good at, and the yes side in general are good at winning people round. Like in 2014, the yes campaign was sort of lauded for how strong it was, and the no campaign was quite widely criticised.
Yeah.
So I think people do know what they're doing. So I think they'll probably feel quite confident with that 10% of unknown about how many they can win round.
Yeah, and I think as well with 2014 election, there was a referendum. Sorry, there was quite a big gap between the signing of the Edinburgh Agreement. It was 2 years between the Edinburgh Agreement and the actual vote. It was a long campaign, and they brought the numbers up for yes from something like the kind of mid-30s, I think it was, support for independence, to now what you're kind of seeing in poll after poll, like quite stubbornly in the mid-40s. Obviously, they need to get over 50 to win that vote, and you know, you'd think probably comfortably over 50 for it to not be majorly contested. But we'll see. I think a shorter campaign, though, this time around might actually benefit the yes side, given that there's less chance for the material circumstances to change. You know, I mean, I think you get a lot of Labour voters in Scotland still who might take a punt on independence rather than, you know, if Boris Johnson, for instance, is still in power.
Yeah, definitely. I think also what I found really interesting from that poll was 53% of people said they actually opposed holding a referendum next year, and there's 40% in favour. So we obviously work in politics. So from our point of view, and we work for a pro-independence paper, from our point of view, it feels like there's a massive appetite for a referendum. But I thought that was quite interesting, like across the general population, what is the appetite for the referendum? Is it will they have to do some work to sort of gather some momentum to encourage people to get behind the referendum?
Yeah, I think the kind of like whether, I mean, I suppose the question of like how many people want a referendum. I mean, if the government is doing it, they're plowing ahead with it, then that's kind of setting the agenda. I think also the thing is that once a campaign is kind of underway fully, which I feel like it's kind of becoming more and more, more so. I think that the kind of question, this idea of do people want another referendum, kind of goes away because it's just happening anyway. You know, it's a bit like I don't really know. I mean, what were the polls for Brexit, for instance? Like, how many people? I think like the number of people that actually wanted a referendum on Europe were like really, really small.
Yeah, no, that's a good point actually.
And then people ended up backing it enormously. So
yeah,
it's kind of, I think it gets focused on quite a lot by like the no side, by saying it's quite a good way of, you know, painting the Scottish government and the Yes movement as being out of touch with.
Yeah.
But then they've also been voted in on that mandate. You know, it wasn't like, I don't really think there were many people who voted SNP who were, oh my God, what, they're holding a referendum? That didn't vote for that. What, the Scottish National Party are trying to get independent? Like, that was missold to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so we got last FMQs as well today before summer recess, which will be feisty, I think.
Yeah, what do you think it's mainly going to be on Indy Ref?
Yeah, I think it's also going to be a really interesting one because when Nicola Sturgeon made her statement on Tuesday. Yeah, this has been it feels like a really long week. When Nicola Sturgeon made her statement on Tuesday, the lines of attack that Labour were a bit stronger because, I mean, I literally think it was a question of when they were able to ask their questions. Douglas Ross was, I think, the first up to ask a question after the First Minister spoke, and I don't think he'd because it was, the announcement was such a shock, right? That they had this whole plan that wasn't really, I don't think, what anyone was expecting them to do. They really wrong-footed the opposition, and he was kind of going on about like, oh, potentially illegal referendum, and it was like a pre-prepared attack. You hadn't seen the statement beforehand. You normally do get sight of the statement beforehand. They'll say, you know, thank you for that, and they hadn't in this case, and I think you were kind of seeing like the cogs in people's brains turning and being like, oh, right, okay, well, they've done this. This is so now that they've had a chance to actually like digest it and go over it and think about it, I think it will be interesting to see now the attacks that they're coming up with. Labour have asked for the Lord Advocate to appear before Parliament, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen before recess, and it's not going to happen before recess, and I would doubt that it would happen after recess as well. I mean, they don't have the numbers to force that to happen, and why would the SNP MSPs, even if they wanted to play ball with Labour, like what would it benefit them? So I think that's an interesting one from Labour, is that they're kind of calling into question the Lord Advocate's legal opinion on the referendum bill, and what does she feel about it? But this whole play of putting it to the Supreme Court is quite interesting because that kind of I mean, it almost kind of negates the Lord Advocate's position entirely. It's like, well, we're putting it somewhere else.
Yeah. We've had our chief political reporter, Judith Duffy's done a really good piece in today's paper on, she's spoken to a legal expert about how and when the Supreme Court might make their decision on indy ref. I think it's Nick McCarroll he's a top lecturer at Glasgow Cali, and he said that he expects the decision won't sort of come into force until early next year, because the court would sit in the autumn. It takes about 5 weeks to decide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a really good piece.
Yeah. Oh, and also this just in, Natalie McGarry has been jailed for embezzling funds.
Oh wow, you're hearing it live.
He's you're seeing it as the news comes in. Don't know how long she's been jailed for yet, but she swindled 25 grand. And this is the second time she'd been found guilty of this, because she appealed it, didn't she? She successfully appealed it. You really wouldn't want to be Natalie McGarry right now.
No, it's not a good day for her.
No, it's not. But I mean, she's getting an indy ref, so she should be happy.
Yeah, silver linings.
That's cool. I think the SNP have changed the law so that prisoners can vote now.
Yeah.
Prisoners like to vote now. So maybe she just get a vote. Be fair.
Yeah, that's all fine then.
Maybe she's cooled slightly on independence, given the whole.
Yeah, given the whole
carry on
embezzlement situation.
Yeah.
I guess the final thing to look out for today is, I imagine we'll have stuff on later, is Tony Blair's Future of Britain Festival kicks off. We splashed on this a few weeks ago. I think it was at the end of May it was announced. Ruth Davidson's going to be there, and Money Man Martin Lewis is another headliner. But so this is sort of the British version, or it's been dubbed the British version of Emmanuel Macron's La République en Marche. So that should be quite interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of chat about this when it was first revealed that it was like the kind of beginnings of a new political party, like drawing kind of people from the centre ground of British politics. It's almost enough to put you to sleep just thinking about it. But yeah, kind of drawing all these people from the centre ground of British politics to kind of, I don't know, bounce ideas around. It feels very like, you know, the Tory spin doctor from the thick of it, the bald one. Feels very like him, kind of like, it's like a festival of ideas, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, Tony Blair wrote a piece in the Times the other day where I think he literally said it's an ideas conference.
An ideas conference, yeah. It's not quite Glastonbury.
No, not. I think I'd rather be at Glastonbury personally.
Less mud though, probably. So.
Yeah, true.
Pluses and minuses on both sides. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that. I think that's fun.
There'll be lots of fun stuff coming out of that. But yeah, we should probably go.
Yeah. Also the price. The last thing, the price of the paper goes up today if you buy the physical paper. But if you subscribe online, if you sign up to subscribe online, you can still save with the subscription. So
yeah, it'll still be 90p. You can get it for 90p.
Yeah, that's on the front page of our website. So
also on subscriptions, today's our last day of the 30-day free trial. So you can get 30 days free with our Premium Plus subscription. You can get all of Hamish's exclusives, which there are a lot of, and they're always very good. So sign up to your free subscription before midnight.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Yeah, right. Thank you very much, guys.
Have a good day. Bye.